Welcome back, everybody. This is Flash Records Java here, and today I am working a bit on a thing that I've been working on for a while. Alright, I've been making a button API, so you simply, without gbutton, should be able to add buttons. So for my base program here, you see I have two buttons here, which is kind of cool. And I've been developing this for a couple of days now. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with the buttons. You can add buttons with images. You can add it. You can check the position for where your mouse is. So, like you can check if your mouse is in this area, it will return true. So it checks like that. And now I've really recently started with lists, like array lists, and yeah. So when you add a button, when you add a button, it saves this information to this class. As you can see, add button new. Yeah, I don't know why I call it that way. You just input that info, and it will save all that into the button list, or it will create a new button list, or it will create a new thing in that list. I don't know how to explain it. I'm really new to lists and stuff, so I don't know all the names. This is like the first time I'm using them, and it adds B, which is this one. Okay. Get button. Okay, that's a debug feature. I don't think that I need that. Nope. Then we have the render, which is much more effective now because it renders all the buttons in one method. So it does like yeah, for int I is less than size of button, which is the array list, I++. If mouse check position, yeah, this is the mouse check position thing. So it checks if the mouse is inside of the X radius for that button, which is so the first time it runs, it is I is 0. It goes through, and it gets the X value. If we go into the button list, I have get X, get Y. Yeah, I don't think I really need all these, but right now, oh yeah, we'll add another thing. A public string get name as well, and return name. Because I will work on that right today, also to get some coding done, just not show code. Anyway, so then it gets the X, Y, XA, and YA for the button, and it checks. It checks if your mouse is inside of that. And if it is, it's setting it to whatever that one button have saved as color 1. Else it sets it as 2, and what all that these two are rendered using that. So this is two buttons, and you see when I hover over it, it changes color, just like a button should do. And then it draws or fills a 3D rect with the information. Yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah, this is my before I used the array list in my render methods. In my base render method, I did the button.add, and then G, and then the X, Y, XA, YA, and the color, and if it should be 3D or not, and if it's 3D, then it's rendered. It's 3D. With the graphics, mouse check position, so it checks the position for these coordinates we put into it, and it renders, and that's the render coordinates, and then the color, and that uses the render button 3D, which is down here, which if button is active, so it's a boolean, which is the mouse check position, it sets the color to 1, and otherwise it sets the color to 2. Or color 2, color 1, and then it makes a rectangle. Okay, now it's enough talking, 5 minutes of only talking. Oh god. I also have a grid function and a menu formatter. I'm like, so the grid, I can show you that later or another episode. I just made a new thing today which I really want to show you guys. Okay, so I thought like, if I have a button, I want to be able to make something with that button. So I have this. If you click, because you can also have mouse check left, which is if you are left clicking, and then mouse check right if you are right clicking inside of these coordinates. Then also if yeah, I can go through the code while I'm doing it. So okay. So we have a button here with starting at coordinates 50-50, and it's 50 by 50 long, so that's exactly this guy. Okay, so what happens when we click on that guy? Okay, do you want to create a new button? Yeah, we want to do that. So I have a Swedish text because I live in Sweden. So that's why it says ja, nej, avbryt and avbryt, which is yes, no, or cancel. So if that is 0, which is that button, then it will do stuff. So okay, yeah, I should actually change that. Anyway, we want it. It asks for x coordinates. Okay, 50x, let's say. Okay, maybe 150y, 30 by 30, and let's call it flash. Okay, cool. And we just added a button, and how that is made is it creates a lot of strings here, and is outputting a new dialog for each, so it fills it in. Now I'm just gonna copy in this so it actually works a bit better. It's coming in the middle of that. And then it parse ints for those 4, so we actually can use them, and we're using them as ABCD. And then it adds a new button with the ABCD color light gray when you hover over it, and color gray when you're not, and it uses the name. So this is Flash. I'm not using the name yet, but I will. That's what I will kind of make in this tutorial. Anyway, I thought that's a pretty boring way of adding a button. I mean, you don't really know. It's nothing that shows you where x50 is and stuff. So okay, I made another button, and this is what I'm really proud of. So when you click on this, button creation mode active, right click to start making a button. So okay, I had to use different right click and left click here because otherwise it will mess it up. I don't really know how to solve that yet. But anyway, so if we right click somewhere, right there, and then change the text, so left click to create a button. Okay, but okay, left to create the button, but where do we want to create it? Yeah, it started here, but the cool thing is I can then change how big I want my button to be, and this actually works rather fine. The way Java draws a rectangle is that if you go minus on the width and height for the rectangle, like if you go less than the original x and y, it will fill it instead. I know how to change that, but that uses up a bit more code. But anyway, so if we want to change, or if we want to make a huge button here, so like that big, and then left click to create the button. Cool, we just made, without coding anything, without typing, we just used our mouse to create a fully functional button. With a name also, but the name right now for the button created that way is see test, so that is test, and that's what I want to do today. So I want to make before it adds the button, I want to have a string name that should not mess up anything. G option pane dot show input dialog component, which will be frame, so it gets in the middle of our frame there, and message will be enter the name for the button, and we want to change this to name. Cool. So now when we create a button, if we create one quick, we are gonna need to put in a name for it. So if we name this V7, and we have a button called V7, one called test and one called flash. Right now we're gonna need to make some code to be able to work that out, but we can always create new buttons. Okay, but now I want to make from the ground, like, so it's always there, a button to check which buttons are there. So for adding buttons now, I just need to add them once, because if I add in them like in the render method, it would add many buttons. It would like add super many buttons and crash. So I'm just adding them once, because they are in there until you're removing them, and I have not made a remove button yet. So okay, so we start at 50 and we go down to 105, and we want to have this like 100 wide. Cool. This will be get button names. So these are actually 3 buttons with different names also. Anyway, so that is cool. What? Let me see. Oh yeah, right. 105 long, because it's 5 between those. Okay, so now I have 3 buttons. Cool. And actually, one cool thing is if I create a button real quick without a name, and I can actually create buttons on top of buttons, and it makes a cool effect, like if I create several buttons here. You see that? That's cool. Loading picture or something. I don't know. Now we have, oh yeah, that's a buggy thing. Like if I create a button and I haven't pressed anything since I created that, if I hover over that, it will get me into creation thing. But if I like left click after, it won't. So I will fix that later. Anyway, now we basically want to copy this. So if we're left clicking at the button, these coordinates, I believe it was. Let me check. Yes, it was. Then we don't want to set A to true. We want to do button dot get I. Oh yeah, we want to make a for loop also. For int I equals to 0. Oops. I is less than button dot size, and we need to use button dot button because it's in my button API, and that is called button here. I know my code could be a bit confusing, but yeah, I++. And what we'll do is we want to scan through. Okay, why can't I format? Okay, Okay. Wait. There we go. Get I dot get get name. I wanna do a system.out.print, I believe. I don't know, I think that is good. I think that's how I wanna do it. Okay. Now it will probably mess up because it's not toggled, so it will like do it several times, but I will try to click as fast as I can. Okay, wait. First, we want to remove this, so we don't get that, because that is annoying as crap. Okay, and then, now we don't have that, so now we can see. Oh god. We want to have a print line here. Okay, so here you can see it's like printed out several, but anyway, add button, which is this guy, add button 2, which is this guy, and get button names, which I just created. So okay, if we create another button right like next to these guys, so we get pretty cool, and we call that for flash. Cool. And if we press that now, we will see we have a flash button there. Yeah. What I really want to do is mouse shake left and then put in the name of a button. I think I know how to do that, but I won't do that on camera, I believe. Yeah. Maybe I will. I don't know. Will I can also so now I can track all my buttons. This is just a bit weird though. And with this, like this list, and I actually got from my game the save and load files, you guys could combine that. I will probably do that in the future with my ButtonAPI or with this button list thing, so it saves the buttons. So yeah, I don't know why create buttons and save them to file. I don't know why I would, but it's kind of cool if you succeed to do that. And oh, I realized that you can't see because fuck, I'm stupid. Oh god. Fail. I realized that I'm just screen recording a bit of my screen, and you couldn't actually see what I'm talking about when I showed you the buttons. Yeah, but I can go through that again. Well, you can see it. So what I did have was, if you press that, it's displayed these 3 buttons first, and then I added the flash button and it displayed that too. So you can see up here on the top it just displayed these 3 a couple of times because it's pretty fast doing that, and then it displayed with flash. So that's this is everything you will need to do to get the button name. And this ButtonAPI, by the way, will be downloadable. Right now it's not working, it's not optimized, it's not really how I want to have it, but yeah, okay, it's actually pretty usable, the API to add buttons, than the thing I've made, because in the download I won't have this button mode, I think. Maybe I will because it's so cool, but yeah. So I really think this is pretty nice to be able to add buttons like this. Oh yeah, that will poop its pants because it's having nothing to display. I really like this actually. I just sitting home today and did nothing, and then I come up with I want to code, and I did this, and I'm actually kind of proud of it to be able to add buttons like this. I got away. Okay, so I think we're done. Please comment and like, and yeah, please comment about what you think about this, and if you want me to put a download right now as it is, or if you want me, yeah, okay, we have 10 minutes. I will actually show you the grid plugin, maybe you call it, I don't know. It's not as efficient because it's using the old render method. I can go through the code quick. Okay, this took me also quite a while to figure out at first, but it's just using my button.add, but it uses a bit more math. Okay, so I will show you two things, and then I will show you a game I did with it called Scary Game, which is kind of cool. I can actually show you the game, and because then I don't need to add. Okay, so the game down in its render method, you see here, it adds a grid. So if not face, it renders the grid, which is add button grid. It starts from these coordinates. This is the size of each button. This is how big, or like how many buttons X and how many buttons Y, and then it will fill all those in like a grid. That's the space between the buttons, and this is if it's 3D or not. So okay, if I run this game, just for people, this will be, it's a scary game, so it will plop up scary face. So just so everybody knows, so no one gets angry. So okay, the goal with this game is to find a green spot while like you click on squares. And one is green and one is face. Okay, so like here's the green button. As you can see, when I click it, it gets green. Okay, there's the button that you don't want to click on. So if you get scared now, don't get mad. I warned you, watch away. But I will click it, and it kind of blinks. It depends how fast it blinks. Depends on the FPS. It doesn't have any sound or anything. Now you can watch if you didn't want to see that. But yeah, so it's just using this. This line is actually to generate that whole functional grid filled with buttons, and this is it's like not updated to the latest with the list, and I don't really know how I would do that, because I will need it to loop, so it adds a lot of buttons, like grid button 1 for the name and grid button 2. It would be a bit more complicated, but yeah. I also have a line that works as the grid, but it is doing it add line X and add line Y. You can like add a line with buttons. So that's everything, as you should have seen now. We actually, I don't know if it's anything more to show. Yeah, and if I will add other properties to the button list, so they have more like customizable stuff. But if I can actually put that game, it's not done. I will add some more like scream faces buttons to it, so it gets a bit harder, and I will change the spot of the green button, and then you can like, and if you guys want to, I could put it out to download, so you can use it to your friends or something, I don't know. But yeah, this was everything for Flash Records Java today. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment about what you think about this. If I want some feedback, because I worked pretty hard, or not pretty hard, but I'm actually kind of proud over this thing. Yeah, so please leave some feedback. It will be awesome. We'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.